If you're gonna say the Mets had a playoff game in 2021, this was definitely the game. Citi Field was rocking. The Mets had just picked up Javy Baez from the Cubs and the playoffs were in sight. So we drove from Staten Island to Citi Field in Flushing, Queens, paid $25 to park, unhappily. Then we hung out in the parking lot for a little bit before we headed inside the Cathedral of Citi Field. It was kind of last minute, but I was able to score some VIP tickets. So we went through the VIP Tom Seaver entrance and then had some seats on the field level. So when I booked the tickets, I didn't even realize that today was 2021 Mets Hall of Fame induction day. John Matlack, Ron Darling, and Edgardo Alfonso would all be inducted into the Mets Hall of Fame. But there were plenty of Mets All-Stars here from over the years, including Bobby V. Yeah, it was going to be a good day.
Bobby V.
That home run Mike Piazza hit after 9-1-1 on the first game back cements him as a Mets legend forever. A lot of people dog baseball, but one thing baseball gives you is a lot of nostalgia. And it was good to come out to Citi Field and look at some Mets nostalgia from over the years as I was in the process of closing one chapter in my life and moving on to the next. There was a lot of speeches and a lot of introductions, and I'm just going to play some highlights before we get to the game.
In one of the greatest infields ever, alongside Edgardo Alfonso. Simply one of the finest defensive shortstops, not only in Mets history, but in baseball history.
He's great.
Now, I grew up as a kid in New York City as a big Mets fan, so all this nostalgia and all this looking back to the 80s, that was money for me. Nice surprise. Now, Ron Darling has a lot of pitching highlights for the Mets, but I think my favorite Ron Darling moment is when he high-fived the guy who parachuted into the Shea Stadium during the 1986 World Series. So after the introductions and the speeches, I realized I had a problem.
So I realized I was wearing a red shirt at a Mets game when they're playing the Reds. Couldn't have that shit, so I went and bought this. Yeah.
It was actually my cousin who pointed it out to me that said, "Why are you wearing a red shirt?" But all my Mets jerseys were still in my suitcases that I hadn't unpacked yet. And it's funny because when I came back with the Mets shirt on, all the fans around me were like, we knew you were a Mets fan, cheering for all the Mets greats here, but you had that red shirt on. What the hell was that all about? I'm certainly glad that I righted that wrong.
Alright, I'm laying off all these carbs now, and I'm just gonna drink beer. Yeah, what do you say, Caden? You know, like a good life. Yeah. Let's fucking go Mets. Yeah.
And you gotta love all that ballpark food.
Spicy chicken tenders.
Yeah.
Costs about $100 a plate.
Why are these motherfuckers wearing Mets stuff and cheering for the Reds?
So I actually approached these guys later in the game to ask them what their deal is. So for any foreigners out there watching this, when the opposing team hits a home run, the fans throw it back on the field, and that's what happened here. So my cousin and I start contemplating when we're going to approach these clowns wearing the Mets stuff and cheering for the Reds.
Whose situation? these guys that they fucking cheering for the Reds, but they're wearing Mets shit?
They're going to be questioned in about a minute.
That's questionable.
I have to get up. I'm going to have like one more drink, and then I think I'll be good.
And then we'll do it. Ah, yeah.
Ah, yeah.
It was time for VFC to indulge in some ballpark treats.
Thanks very much. Cheers. 25 bucks for a dog, a beer, and a pretzel. Right, Caden? Can you believe 25 bucks?
That 25 bucks is worth it though when you dress this thing up just how you like it. Ah, yeah.
Now this is fucking money. Ah, fucking yeah.
So in storybook fashion, Javy Baez, who the Mets just picked up the day before, hits a home run in his first game at Citi Field. It's the 7th inning stretch now. We're wondering if the Mets are going to win this game. Mr. and Mrs. Met are on the field and they're going to lead us and take me out to the ball game.
I don't care if I never come back, 'cause it's rude for a strikes you're out in the old ball game. Oh! I
You know, baseball gets a bad rap because the games are so long and they can be boring, especially if your team's not in the race. But when you get this playoff atmosphere in the stadium and you get a beautiful summer evening, there's no better place to be in America than the ballpark. Some late inning excitement here as the Cincinnati Reds look to go ahead, put them in a position to win the game. And here's these clowns all disappointed wearing the Mets jerseys, disappointed that Cincinnati didn't hit the home run there. These guys really do need a talking to, I think. But these guys aren't going to ruin my mood. My first Mets game in over 10 years. Yeah, no life like the good life. The game is really exciting though. Mets were down by 1 going into the 9th. Action's just getting started. So the Mets escape trouble here, get out of the inning, and now it's off to the bottom of the 9th.
Bottom of the 9th, baby. Bottom of the 9th. Ah, yeah.
You can do it. Let's do it.
Let's go, Mets.
It's definitely playoff atmosphere here at Citi Field, and Javy Baez was getting in with the crowd on his first day. And the ballpark festivities were in full swing.
Let's go, Mets! Let's go, Mets! Let's go, Mets! Ah, yeah. Let's go, Mets! Let's go, Mets!
And in the end, after all that fun, excitement, and food, the Mets pull it off in playoff fashion. So this was the Mets' one playoff game of 2021. From here, the bottom fell out of their season. Mets didn't even make the playoffs. But I'm glad out of all the games I could have made it to this year, I got to see the Hall of Fame day for the Mets. I got to see this game, and it was my first time back to Citi Field in a long time. So hopefully this was the first of many more. But yeah, we got to make the playoffs one of these days. We got to get that series back. So you see, baseball doesn't always have to be boring. You get a game like this, and it's absolute money. Now I'll leave you with some parting words from Ron Darling and Edgardo Alfonso, talking about how the Mets fans are the best in baseball. Ah yeah, subscribe.
60 games without you was 60 too much. I just want you guys to know that I've got a love affair with this town and with this fan base. I just want to thank you very much.
Oh yeah, Ronnie.
One of the greatest players in the world. Thank you, New York. Thank you, Mets. Let's go, Mets. God bless you guys.
Oh yeah.
And let's go.